Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with Chapter 2 of An Idiot Buys a Balisong. This is the Kershaw Lucha, $120, 14C 28-inch steel, stainless steel handles, runs on bearings. It's a pretty exciting knife if you're in the Balisong world. It's mass-produced, made in the USA. Really good price for what you're getting. And a lot of people were very, very excited about it. And I thought, this is a good time to finally, buy a Balisong and try it out. I had one as a kid, if you watch Chapter 1, but I barely remember it, and this is me kind of just learning all over again how to use one of these. I do apologize. This is still going to be a 3-part series. I was supposed to just do it over 1 week, but obviously I'm putting this up on March 18th of 2020. So if you go back and look in the history, if you're looking at this forward, yeah, there was some stuff going on. So hopefully it's all in the past by now and just a distant memory. But obviously my life changed a lot, as did everybody's. So I didn't really get a chance to put that whole week in it and try and learn some tricks and stuff. I've learned a few. Can't do them on camera at this angle. Part 3 will be probably next week sometime. I will show my meager little tiny tricks that I've learned. But this is just me reviewing this as an EDC kind of knife, because that's what we focus on here. So I am going to just talk about, can you EDC this, and give it a normal plain old knife review. After doing it for a good amount of time now, several days, just go through what I thought about the knife. Just a regular old knife review with a bit of a slant, because the fact that I don't know much about these. So keep that in mind before we get going. So as I said, $120. This is a big knife. Let's do some stats and a few comical size comparisons before we get too much farther. You have an overall length of 10¼ inches, blade length of 4.6 inches, and it's every bit of that. Blade thickness of 0.16 inches. Handles are pretty thin, 0.43, as you'd expect from a Balisong, and a weight of 5.9 ounces. A bit heavy, so we'll talk a lot more about that coming up. So size comparisons. We'll start out with some of our usuals. You have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and Para 3, which this is going to dwarf both of them. Yeah. It's a long one, absolutely, for sure. And we will bring out, since for tradition's sake, we'll bring out a couple of Benchmades. I have the 940 here today. We'll change it up a little bit. Your Benchmade 940 and the full-size bug out. So yeah, it's big. So let's bring out some bigger stuff. So let's see, what do we have here that's pretty big? Well, I just reviewed the Civivi Asticus. That's a big knife, right? It's probably close to that. Nope, it's a lot bigger than that. The Ontario Rat Model 1, bring that out a lot when I want to show bigger knives. A lot of you guys have these. Yeah, no, it's not really close. Oh, here's a big one. One of my favorite Spydercos that I don't think it's enough mentioned, the Spyderco Native Chief. This is a really big knife. Surely this has to be close. We're getting there, but no, not really. It's a bit longer. It's a bit slimmer maybe, but yeah, it's a big old knife. So, here we go. This is definitely going to be bigger, right? This is definitely going to be bigger. The Cold Steel Formax Scout. Big old hunk of cold steel. 10.2 ounces of man. And nope, it's still longer. This is a very long knife. It's not particularly thick or anything like that, but it is very, very long. I will say, though, the blade on this, it's definitely not the sliciest thing I've ever had. You heard 0.16 inch thickness of blade stock, which is pretty thick. About 23 thousandths behind the edge, and not a very high flat grind. So it's not a slicing dream or anything, but it ain't too bad. Kershaw's, especially the USA made ones, always have pretty good grinds on them. This is no exception. It came really sharp out of the box. The grinds are all even. It cuts fine. Nothing wrong with that. Piercing's very good. It's got a nice good tip on there. So that's all fine. This kind of unique blade shape is part of a weight thing to make it a good flipper. So, but I kind of like it. I think it looks kind of cool. And the blade works fine. For your normal EDC tasks, absolutely, it's completely fine to do any of that kind of stuff. I really like it for that. As far as the ergonomics go, also really good. I like the ramps work really well. They fit my hand well. Of course, the handle's huge, so you've got plenty of room, and it's very comfortable. Everything is very well chamfered. It feels a lot more expensive than it is in your hand. It just feels very well designed and very comfortable. I have zero complaints ergonomically, which I kind of expected to, with just this kind of plain square handle, but it's actually really freaking comfortable. I've never had any issues with it pinching me or anything like that. Not bad at all. Ergos are pretty darn good. Now, as far as the carry goes, that's a bit more of an issue. I'm not going to do any Balisong tricks. I'm just going to do the one-handed little quick thing. That's how I usually open and close it, honestly. I do know how to do the little two-step thing, but I don't do it very often. There's no pocket clip, which some Balisongs do have that. I know some guys don't like them. Some guys do. Some guys want them on one handle. Some guys want them on the other. There is none for this. And as far as I can tell, not really an easy way to put one on it. These screws are spaced too far apart for a standard Kershaw clip, and if you did, it would hang over the edges, which would make it more uncomfortable to use. I just wish it had a pocket clip because it's big and it's heavy, 5.9 ounces. It would be really nice if it was just sitting, you know, like here in my pocket. I'd be okay with that, but it doesn't. And the problem with that I have is when I put it in my pocket, I don't like stuff floating around in my pocket, and it always inevitably winds up falling down and being all the way across in the bottom of my pocket like this, and I don't like that. I mean, that's where I want my knife to be, my right front pocket. Yeah, I could probably put it in my back pocket. It might be better, but I still think it might have room to fall over. And when it falls over, I just have this big chunk of steel in my pocket when I'm walking around, and it's sitting sideways, and I just, it's not comfortable. I don't like it at all. Video I did last night of the nap test. This definitely fails the nap test completely. There's no way you're going to fall asleep with this in your pocket. It's just too big and too heavy, and it always wants to fall down. This is why I don't review many knives without pocket clips, because that is a pet peeve of mine, and this just exacerbates that pet peeve to the umpteenth degree. As far as the deployment goes, again, idiot. I'm not that great with it. It does work really well. It seems very smooth. I have no comparisons to compare it to. It does seem really, really smooth, though. Definitely no denying that. And I have learned a few tricks with it. The problem I've had, I haven't cut myself much. I will say that. I just got one little nick there and like two little ones on my finger. I'll take that after a couple weeks of playing with this thing. That's fine. And both of them were my fault. You have the safety handle and the bite handle. Both of those, all three of those were, I grabbed the bite handle instead of the safety handle and forgot when I was flipping it around. So all three were my fault. It's been fine. The one thing I don't like about the deployment is something that I did watch. I did watch a couple of reviews of people who know what they're talking about, actual Balisong experts, and who reviewed this, and they said that, the handles are really heavy and it bangs your hands. That is absolutely 100% my biggest issue with this knife is not a lot of cuts, but a lot of little bruises that you can't quite see. It's just, when you flip it around, it just wants to bang your hand. When you go like, it's so hard to do under the camera, but like you have to be really, really smooth with it. And if you get really smooth at it, which I've gotten okay at it, then it barely touches your hand. But if you're not super smooth with it, it bangs my knuckles, bangs the back of my hand, just all kinds of stuff. That's definitely my biggest issue with the deployment. That, and I guess we can put there the safety catch. The safety catch is very, very, is very stiff. I'm sure it will break in eventually, but it hasn't quite gotten there, especially when it's open. You really have to give it a little bit of a reef there to get it to close. And I like having that catch on because, I'm not a Balisong expert. So a lot of guys remove them. And if you remove it, then forget it. Forget this part of the review. But I want it there. So, yeah. Overall, though, I mean, as Balisongs go, as far as I know, it's pretty good for $120, which is not very far. It's like from here to like, my office door. That's about all I know. If you measure it out in distance, I don't know how you do that. I don't know what the math is. I don't know the equation on that, but it does seem like a pretty decent knife. Is definitely very well built. It's definitely, the specs are okay. USA made, all that stuff. It is an in-house Kershaw design, as you can see by that little Star Wars-y looking thing. I think it looks cool. As a Balisong goes, I think it looks pretty nice. And all the reviews from people I've seen who actually know what they're talking about seem to mostly pretty much like it. So I think it's pretty good for a Balisong. I think it's very, very big, but it doesn't seem to be an uncommon size for knives like this. But it's just, yeah, that's my only issues really carrying it, is the size and the fact that there's no pocket clip. Even the weight wouldn't bother me if it had a pocket clip, but it's just when you have a big 5.9 ounce chunk of stainless steel floating around the bottom of your pocket, as much as something this big can float stationary in the bottom of your pocket, it is a bit annoying. And I did find it to bang my hands up quite a bit, just because I'm an idiot and I'm learning. But I think a lot of people who buy this are going to be learning. I think a lot of people, this is going to be a lot of people's, in their collection. If you're a collector and you have, 30, 40 knives, this is pretty likely to be your token Balisong, because you're going to say, oh, Kershaw, I know that name, I trust that, I'm going to get it. A lot of the other Balisong companies that make lower price stuff focus pretty much on that, and people may not know the company very well. I guess I'll save the rest of my conclusions for the third video of whether or not I'm going to keep it and whether or not I'm going to get another one. Another Balisong of another brand and try out another one. We'll get for that in the conclusions. So that'll be coming up sometime probably early next week. Idiot Buys a Balisong, Chapter 3. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.